My dad, we came in through Laredo, Texas, and he applied for work. So then we were sent to Alabama. He worked at the coal mines for about 5 years. Then we went to Mexico. We had, to what they told me, we stayed in Mexico about 6 months, then we came back. So then, from there on, we came to Minnesota because I had an uncle here, and he was already working, I think, in a packing house or something. We came here and we started working there, or rather, they started working the sugar. I was already around maybe 10, 12 years old when I came here. That was in 1926. In fact, that year they finished building the Robert Street Bridge when we came here. I got that as my bad. Well, they worked on the sugar beet fields. Okay. And they sent me to school. Wherever we went, they always sent me to school. But they worked there the sugar beet fields. We did that till I was about 19, 20 years old. Then I finally found myself a job. We stayed here. I worked for the streetcar company. I worked for a grocery store, and wherever I could get a job. So finally I got a job for the Cudahy Packet Company. I worked there about 15 years. And I was working there when I got drafted. In 1943, the fall of 43, but I got a year's deferment from the Army because I was doing essential work to the war. So they gave me a year's leave. My year was up, then I had to go. Yeah. That was in 1944. Okay. I don't think she felt very good about it. I didn't feel really very good about it either. That was one of the hardest things I ever experienced.
Why was
the leaving the family. I didn't know whether I was coming back or anything.
No, I don't remember when he left, but I sort of remember when he came home. I remember the morning that the war was over, and we had moved. We were living on Congress Street, and that morning, you know, the whole neighborhood was awake, and they were selling newspapers like in the old days, you know, extra, extra, the war's over, you know. So I remember that. But I don't remember too much about my dad being gone.
Well, I got discharged at Camp McCoy in Sparta, Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Your mom went and picked me up over there. She took the Zephyr, the train,
Mhm.
and she, when I got discharged, she was there. So we were over there one night and we came home the next day. They just met us over at the Union Depot. The trains were coming in and out just like the airport is now.
Yeah.
About every 10, 15 minutes, the train would come in. People like that,
Yeah.
coming in and going out.
Yeah.
That was something to see at that time. Because they sent me to cook school, cooks and bakers school. I didn't do much of that. Once I got overseas, they put me, most of the time I helped the bakers. We would work one day or one night and off two. Yeah, it was mostly construction work. Yeah, but a lot of times there'd be shorter cooks and bakers. And I would fill in.
Mhm.
Yeah. They sent me to firefighting school, engineer firefighting school. They sent me to cooks and bakers school. I even played in the army band, in our company band. When I first went in, they asked for musicians. Now already had been a musician. So I volunteered. And says, the morning you go, what instrument do you play? I said, well, I play saxophone. Oh, the sergeant says, we're all out of saxophones. I says, what have you got? He says, we got trumpets. But I already had studied trumpet too, see? Only the trumpet this tooth used to get in my lips and I left that. So finally, I says, well, okay, give me a trumpet, I'll work on it. And I had to go to school for that. I had to go to school for that, and I played the band for every Saturday. We used to have a parade, and it was fun. I kept out a lot of training with the training I had to do for rehearsals and the band and everything. But when I got overseas, there was no band. They couldn't play with them. I missed that. For training, I went to Oregon,
Oh.
Camp Abbott, Oregon. That's where I took my boot camp training. From there, after training, they closed that camp because there was an old CC camp. So then we moved to Fort Lewis, Washington. I was there about 10, 12 months at Fort Lewis, Washington. Then we got our orders, and they sent me to Camp Beale, California, waiting for to go overseas. So I was there about maybe 3 months waiting for orders. Finally, they sent us, because that was the deportation camp. Yeah, so we waited for orders. So finally, They took us to San Francisco. We got shipped out from San Francisco. We got on it. It was a tremendous ship, big ship. We had about 8,000 troops, besides the Army and Navy personnel that was on the ship, that maintained the ship and all that. So it took us about 38 days to get to New Guinea. Water all the way. So we got to New Guinea. That was there about, must have been just weeks. Then I got shipped to Luzon, the Philippines. And that was the separation center there. There you gotta wait for orders again. You're waiting for orders all the time. So then they shipped me to Leyte Island. And I was there for about, maybe 4 or 5 months. Nobody knew what we were gonna do or anything, because everything was secret. But they shipped me to Leyte Island. We just had an idea that we were gonna get ready for an invasion or something. So I was there about 3 or 4 months. Finally, they shipped us to when MacArthur signed the armistice. A few days later, we got shipped to Japan. That was another trip. Took over a high school that was bombed and everything. All we did there is put new windows and everything because it was fall already. It was cold. We put new windows and new doors and everything, and all work, construction and stuff like that. So that's when in December I got my orders that I was going to be discharged. So from there they sent me to Camp McCoy. And that ship that brought me home was a brand new ship. It was named after Ernie Pyle. It was brand new, first trip over. And that's the ship that I came home on. Oh well, it never dawned on me. They drafted me and everything. I went through boot camp and everything. Well, they knew that I wasn't born here, but they never said anything until after boot camp. Then they said, we're going to make you an American citizen. I said, huh? Yeah, I says, we're going to send you to Vancouver, Canada. You and some other fellas go to Vancouver. You see the American consul there, and he'll give you some papers. You bring them back, and you're an American citizen. I was working at Gutties when I bought it. Of course, the housing was cheap at that time, so I got the house pretty reasonable. But then I sold it. I made I tripled the price on it. That's when I bought this one. They were building this one when I bought it. They had just finished it a week or so before. Yeah. So I've been here since.
I think growing up in the West Side was a real diverse community, and it was like it's pretty safe there. When I say diverse, there was Lebanese, there was Jewish immigrants, there's some Indians, some blacks, but being such a small neighborhood, it's one of those neighborhoods that was just community. I mean, everybody knew everybody. You know, you'd have the normal kind of fights between young kids and stuff, but it wasn't anything that was because of race or anything. In fact, you know, I don't think we even looked at color. You know, it's just one of those neighborhoods that was we were lucky to grow in. It wasn't until I got out of the neighborhood that I experienced a little bit, but not. It just wasn't. I think Minnesota was a good place to grow up in terms of race. We didn't have the same kind of experiences that you have in California or Texas or any of the southern states. I think in my neighborhood, everybody, all the males knew they were going to be in the service one time or another. It was just a matter of when. And I don't think it was a matter of surprise or anything. I just knew that my time had come, and you know, I would have to serve. But talking to other friends that were in the same situation, he said, "Well, let's join the reserves. This way we can still do your service." And then, but at that time, because there was the beginning of the Vietnam era time, they wanted to make sure you serve active duty. So there was a program that was they call it 2 by 2 by 2, which was 2 years active, 2 years inactive, and 2 years service time. I mean, active in the reserves, 2 years non-active in the reserves, and 2 years of active duty. Well, I served my reserve time all 4 years in reserves. And the day that I was going through graduation line is when I got my notice, and I tried to get deferment. I still had another 2 years to get my professional degree, and so I tried to get a deferment, and the school did try to help me, but because I was already older and I was already had my reserve time eaten up, that I had to serve. So I was pretty disappointed, but especially at that time, there were just little inklings about Vietnam not being the right war. And I had heard of other guys from school that had taken off for Canada or refused to go. But I think I chose to go. And So that was a scary moment to me for a lot of reasons. One, the war. Two, I'd never been out of Minnesota before, and that was the in my life, that was really when I saw the violence of the civil rights, movement, how people were treated, and I really didn't know what to expect, and so I was sent to I think I was going through the graduation line mid-December, and I was reported to active duty on January 10th, 1977. 78, excuse me. 68. Senior moment.
So much thought. I don't know, just, it seemed like it wasn't true. It seemed like I was gonna lose. It wasn't happiness, I know that. And I prayed every day, including your mom. It was almost unbearable. Just the thought of not seeing you. I didn't know how long it would be or what it would be. It was a yes and no. I just hope that I never get that feeling again. Because it's a feeling that you just can't describe it. Can't be described. But when you came home, it was like heaven had opened up its doors for me. That was the joy that I got. Just like when you came to earth. It's a beautiful feeling, but the other was not beautiful. And that was those years that you were gone. They were the toughest years of my life. For all of us. For all of family. Because we all missed you. But I'm glad you're back.
And my first real experience with the war was when we were flying into July, and as the plane was coming down, we were told that we couldn't land because the field was under attack. So we come up and went back to Japan and tried the next day, and got back next day, no incident. But that's kind of the way it was in the beginning. There was just there's always mortar attacks. There's, there's nothing really that was out of the ordinary, and we were part of the Marines, so we're never worried about the Marines taking care of us. And so it was quiet there for a long time. Okay, well, we didn't experience a lot of conflicts, or it was pretty normal when I got there. I mean, there would be nights when there would be mortar attacks, and you'd see the flares go up, and the sky would light up, and the Marines would get in their helicopters, and then within an hour or two, we'd get them all clear. So it felt pretty safe. And then that evening of the Tet, or say the week before, or maybe 2 weeks before, things started to sort of intensify. There was more and more alerts, more and more attacks, and but still it felt pretty safe. But on the night of the Tet, I don't remember what time it was. It had to be around 1 in the morning or very early in the morning. It was very dark out because there was no moon. It was pitch black. All I remember is hearing these huge explosions, like they were right next to the, where I was sleeping. And I could remember it was like, you could see the light flash and then the explosion, like thunderstorms. And I remember trying to run out of my barracks, and all I did was run across the aisle to the next guy's bunk, and I crashed into his locker and knocked that down and knocked myself down trying to scramble out of there. But it was pitch black. You couldn't see anything until the next round came in, and then there was a little light, and you could see where the door was, and you could hear the other guy scrambling out the door. And that was that way for quite a while. They were just, I think it was the first time they really shot rockets at us. It wasn't mortars, but they were the rocket. It was a rocket attack, and a much larger explosive. And while we were in our, all we had was little foxholes. We didn't, we weren't prepared for that kind of attack. So we were all huddled in these little holes that were about 3 feet deep, and they just kept dropping these rockets, and the one got a hit on our bomb bunkers, where the F-14s or the Phantom jets got the supply of bombs, and there was like, I can't remember, I always get mixed up whether there was 500, 250 pound bombs, or the other way around. But anyways, it went up, and I thought they had dropped an atomic bomb on us, because all we could see was this ball of fire go up, and then a mushroom cloud, and then we felt the concussion from the explosion, and it just started raining sand, like a thunder, a rainstorm. And all I could hear was guys next to me crying and saying, some calling for the moms. And, we didn't know what to expect. We thought, okay, now they're going to overrun us. We didn't have our guns. We didn't have anything. We were, and so we didn't know what was going out there. And so after that, it got quiet. And it was like that for the next couple of nights. Just always on alert. And we all survived it. There's no casualties. I think there was outside the post. There was around the Chulai. There was many Army. There's the Marines. There was the Koreans, the Korean Army. And so we were pretty well protected. We were right next to the beach, so all we had to do was protect the beach, and you never knew they could come in on boats, and so that was what we protected, was the beach. But nothing ever happened. I think I think the thing about Ted is you always hear is that, we lost the war then, but actually we survived it, and then we had, we made a good comeback, so it wasn't like we lost anything other than some of the media that portrayed us as losers there. But that kind of stuck with the Vietnam guys, and when it was my time to come home, that was probably the worst time. Just I think it was just the way the people felt about us back home, and I remember we get on the plane and everybody cheering because we were off that plane. We were coming home. Like everybody in the plane just stood up and cheered. But then when we got home, there was nobody there, and then it was, then it was really anti-war. And then I got discharged shortly after that because it was a short timer. I had 90 days, so they gave me a 90 days out. I wouldn't have enough time to do another deployment, although a lot of my friends did. Went back for a second time. And so the worst part was when I got home, it was like I had stepped in another world, I walked in a different world, and then I stepped out of this bubble and back to another world. People were, I didn't really tell them where I was, but, they were like, where you been? I haven't seen you for a while. And then I wanted to go back to school to finish up, and that was even harder. Because the School of Architecture was overlooking the armory, and that was like everyday protesters. And I never told anybody, and it really became hard for me to go back and go there every day and finish school. It was just, and those 2 years were not a fun time for me. I just felt like, that my life was screwed up because of not being able to go through and complete everything. That interruption was not a good time for me. So there was a lot of anger there when I got back. And it wasn't at the people that I served with. It was really at the people, you know, the attitudes back home. Maybe that the fact that we were in Vietnam, you know, all those things. So it took me a long time to sort it out. And I understand today why today's veterans, they come home and I'm sure they come home with a lot worse experiences that I had, but they're not being taken care of. I mean, I think they're doing a better job as of today, and I keep track of what the Veterans Administrations are trying to do for them, but you know, it's not enough. There's still a lot of guys out there that are homeless, that are probably going through the same experiences that I did with drinking, attitude, all kinds of problems that you know, that we're not helping them with. I think when I finally got involved with the veterans, I think, you know, it took me about 10 or 15 years to really get sort of straightened out. And I think joining this veterans group really helped me. And I only joined because I did try to join the VFW, and at that time they weren't taking Vietnam veterans because it was a world war. And when this opportunity came up and I could join a veterans group, my dad, I finally did. Then again, that's, I think things began to get better, although I did get some other help, and it's only because I had gone through 2 marriages, and in the second marriage I had, again, one of those people that recognized what was going on. And when I went in, it was because I was talking about my marriage, and the counselor says, well, you know, he says, tell me a little about your life, and I told him a little about, you know, my experiences. And he says, well, let's not talk about Linda, and let's talk about what's really going on here. And we went through this thing, and it was really the first time I cried when I told him how scared I was, and you know, and I wasn't even in a real situation like a lot of those guys were that were fighting in the jungles and stuff, but you know, just being there and the experience I had were terrifying, and he sort of helped me through that. And then joining the veterans group also helped, because I could, you know, the stories become different when you're in with a bunch of guys and they all gone through the same thing. Interested in the West Side because there's a lot of Mexican Americans there. We talk about not being recognized. Excuse me, not being recognized as contributing. You know, where some people don't even realize that we were in. As long as this nation has been a nation, we've been involved with wars. You know, it's documented by the U.S. government that we go back as far as the revolution with Latinos, and yet they're not recognized, and I mean that. And not in a real negative sense, but we're not mainstream America. We're Mexicans. And, you know, I always say, well, no, I'm American. I just happen to be Mexican culture. And I'm proud of my culture, you know, and I like that. But the emphasis is how do we get this word out, and how do we, you know, we don't want to be pounding our chests, or we don't want to say we've done something great. You know, we didn't do any more than anybody else, but we did as much, and that we don't get recognized for that.